often say, even although they may be quite proficient at drawing and painting, that when it comes to figures and animals, they lose confidence. But in fact, it's not as difficult as it might appear, and I'm going to show you some techniques to help build your confidence. Now, animals can be just as easy as figures because we can simplify them into geometric shapes. Let's take a back view of a sheep. Now there's an oval, which again I'm sketching in very roughly, and I'm going to stick several little indications of the legs down below, which in time will become little tufts of grass, and there's that shadow again. You'll notice the tonal value is always very important. It helps to give a bit of depth. Now this sheep's looking a bit tall and thin, so we can fatten it out a little bit, get its nice sort of fluffy rounded shape to it. And like any sort of circular or oval shape, we'll build it up with tone, that bit of shadow, which starts to give it more depth. And let's have a little touch of the tail before we build up to just a hint of the head. And remember, even with the head, you don't have to start worrying about, oh, what does a sheep look like? How many eyes has it got? Where's its nose go? You just give a little hint of the shape. The ear can stick out, bit of dark, and really a bit of shadow makes all the difference because you leave the rest to the imagination. What about if we try another one this time, and we'll have it same shape, and this time we'll have it looking forwards, and it can be just next to the other one. There's that basic shape again, and the head will be just about here. Actually, the head could be a triangle with just a hint of the ears like so. Don't forget to match up your shadow. It's got to be on the same side. Just keep it very sketchy. In fact, that shadow might as well just link up with that one. A bit of shaping round the head to give it the same sort of bulk that you did before. And basically that's enough to give us a hint of. We could even have a few other little blobs of less detail in the background. Once you've got one or two in the foreground, you can get away with a lot less in the background because the eye will just assume it's the same thing. Using geometric shapes again, we come to something that's great fun, very close to my heart, because we have got lots of chickens at Shinafoot. So you could start with the same oval shape again, and if you think about, this is the little hens that cluck about, and take maybe a triangle off the side, which is going to be the head, and the other triangle is going to be the bottom end, and that's its bottom, which is quite fluffy round here. And we'll turn this into a head like that, and just give it little feet. That's its back view, which is in shadow there. A little bit of the feathering that comes round here. And let's just bolster her out a bit. That's it, little fat hens with these lovely little, some of them have got quite furry feet. We'll be having some closer looks at hens later, but that's a basic one using the oval shape. In the same way, doing the hens in watercolour without any drawing again, remember that the weak raw sienna wash is always a good escape for any problems that crop up. So if we take the shape again, like the triangle, now that would still be weak enough to wipe off, but if you're happy, go ahead and start building up the shape and just build. Now if you don't like anything, you don't like that neck, it's going to be too thick. There's the head, build out the chest, there's the leg down at the bottom, and a shorter leg to show the sort of depth this time. And if you're happy with that shape, then you could start to fill in with a little colour, this time keeping the same first wash of raw sienna, but adding a little bit of light red, and we'll just start to build up on the shape of it, which helps to get rid of that triangle. And as the light comes over from the side, I'm going to really just build up a little, leave some of the white paper to highlight. This is quite good working wet into wet because the watercolour is ideal for this. It gives it a little bit more fluidity again. And in fact, the raw sienna is ideal just to keep for the leg colour. That's got a little bit of depth now. We'll go darker still. I'll add a touch of brown to it and a little bit of blue just to give it a coolness in the shadow. So that's going to move over here, and this will be the darkest part. And you see how the wet is still melting in slightly. So the wet and wet for watercolour is ideal for this. It just helps to stop everything being too weak. But remember also, it dries in lighter. Therefore, if you don't make it strong enough, it might dry out too weak and wishy-washy. Let's have a touch more colour. They're quite colourful, these ones. Yeah, that's better. A little touch here of cadmium red for the comb and the wattle. And never forget the shadow, because it's the shadow on the ground that gives you the bulk form. And don't be too specific with that either. And that gives it a bit of bulk. We're going to go back to pastel now and try a few sheep. Just very simple. It's called the blob shadow highlight technique, using 3 colours. And the blob is positioning where the sheep will be. And we'll put it like that, just a shadow to come in at the side now. That blob becomes a 3-dimensional blob when it gets a bit of shadow down the side. A couple of little dart legs, shadow across here, and then a touch of highlight on the side. And if you've got a few of those, they're going to look like sheep in the field. Similarly, if you want to have a slightly bigger blob, this time it will be more of a side view, and you might just have the head. Again, don't panic, we don't have to know what it looks like. And then the dark brown, just to give a little bit of shadow on the side of the body and the legs. Again, anchored mainly by the shadow on the ground. Let's just bring that across. Let's have a black face sheep this time. They are very dark. And then the highlight, just a touch, maybe top of the head and round its fluffy bottom, like that. And you've got, with 3 colours, some rather nice indications of sheep.